On today's episode of the DuckZone503 Podcast, I got a very special guest, and we are going to be previewing and predicting the 2023 Fiesta Bowl matchup of number 23 Liberty versus number 8 Oregon. We'll also be giving our quick pick'em for the college football playoff matchups as well. And I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson. This is the DuckZone503 podcast, where we talk all things Oregon football. Let's get into it, guys.
Welcome to the DuckZone503 Podcast, talking all things Oregon football, with your host, Dominiqk Peterson. Let's go.
Welcome into today's edition of the DuckZone503 Podcast. The date is Wednesday, December 27, 2023. And once again, I am happy to be with you guys. And I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas as well. Tummies are full. We're ready to watch some more football and the year out right. Am I right? I'm with my guy, Jon Manson, founder of a seaofred.com, to give us a nice deep dive into the Liberty Flame. Thank you for being here, John. How you feeling today, man?
Doing good. Merry Christmas, Dominic. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, 100%, man. You guys had an extreme successful season, 13-0. Ducks had a successful season going to the championship game. Didn't exactly get to where they wanted to be, but we're here. We got an opponent. We got to end the year out right, so we're going to break you guys down. Duck fans on our side not know a lot of Liberty football, but I know you guys are coming with a lot. So we're here to break it all down, give you guys and unpack this team for you guys. Make sure you guys check out seaofred.com if you guys really want to deep dive into all things Liberty after this podcast. Get in any more extra information that you want to get, lock in with John over there. Make sure you guys subscribe here as well. I'm going to try to give you guys weekly podcasts on all things Oregon football, recruit interviews with the players that Oregon is targeting, and give you guys the latest updates on all our social medias if you want them as quick as possible at DuckZone503 on all social medias. We're listed on Spotify, rate 5 stars, helps us out on the algorithm. Appreciate everybody for joining in right now. All right, let's get into it. The Oregon Ducks are coming into this game 11-2 on the season. Just came short of a college football playoff berth and Pac-12 champions, but still making a New Year's Six Bowl here. A lot to be happy about. This is only the 4th time in Oregon football history where we have 11-plus wins. So this is big time. It's an opportunity to end the season right. And then you got the Liberty Flames coming in this matchup undefeated, a perfect 13-0 on the season, Conference USA champions. And guys, I'm telling you now, this is going to be their Super Bowl. This is going to be their national championship. This is everything they've worked for to get to and to showcase against a team like Oregon. Date is Monday, January 1st. Will be kickoff 1 p.m. Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Venue is State Farm Stadium. How to watch, you go to ESPN. Oregon is currently 17-point favorite. Last time I checked was 17.5, moved up a little bit to 17. The Ducks have some key opt-outs such as Troy Franklin, Jackson Powers Johnson, as well as dealing with some key depth issues in the secondary defensively, thanks to opt-out, stuff like that. The good news is that star quarterback and starting running back Bucky Irving will be playing in this game for the Ducks, despite both declaring for the draft. Bo Nix threw for over 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns this season. He was a Heisman finalist this year. Bucky Irving is a key piece of this backfield, 1,000-yard rushing back. Can also get out and be a dangerous in the passing game, get out and hit the routes. And then this is also Liberty's 5th straight bowl appearance. The Flames are 3-1 in bowl games, but none were against Power 5 opponents. Oregon is 2-1 in the Fiesta Bowl. Some fun facts there. So just to get started, John, let's just start with Liberty as a program. Ducks fans don't really know much, if at all, about Liberty. Let's just start with the basics. Where are you guys located? When were you guys founded? And, what's some of the history behind Liberty?
Sure. So Liberty University was founded in 1971 in Lynchburg, Virginia. It was founded by Jerry Falwell Sr. He was a Baptist minister back in the day. And when he founded the school, he talked about wanting to build a school for evangelical Christians, similar to BYU, what they have for Mormons and what Notre Dame has for Roman Catholics. So obviously those schools have a big head start on Liberty. But like I said, started in 1971. The football team started in 1973. So this year is the 50th anniversary of the football program. The team, you kind of talked about it there a little bit, 5 straight years in a bowl game. This team's been in the FBS level for 5 straight years. The last 5 years, moved up from FCS prior to that. Hugh Freeze was the head coach for 4 years, led them to those first 4 bowl games before leaving to go to Auburn last year. And that's when Liberty hired Jamie Chadwell, who was the head coach at Coastal Carolina, who actually was a rival of Liberty back in the day when both teams were in the FCS. They were kind of the top 2 teams in the Big South Conference at the time. And Coastal made the move up to the FBS first in the Sun Belt, and then Liberty followed thereafter. First as an independent. This is the first year in Conference USA, so first year as a conference member of an FBS league. And like I said, Jamie Chadwell's first year, so had a lot of success obviously this season, and but this is a team that it's been building for several years, several decades really, but really the last 5 years been a steady climb up, and been ranked 3 of the last 4 seasons. So it's kind of been a steady build, but also a fast build for this program, kind of coming out of nowhere to making it to a Fiesta Bowl, New Year's 6 bowl game, fast as ever program to make it there, just the 5th year in FBS. So lot to be excited about for Liberty fans.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the last 5 seasons has been tremendous for you guys. You mentioned in the last 3 out of 5, you've been to bowl games. And, is this your guys' first undefeated season going 13-0? And would you say, in your own words, is this Liberty's probably biggest game as a program going against Oregon in this Fiesta Bowl?
Yeah, it's the first time going undefeated. It's the first time winning 13 games in a season. It's the first time winning more than 10 games in a season. Liberty won 10 games, went 10-1 in 2020, that COVID-affected year that we all had. Liberty was 10-1, had quarterback Malik Willis, who some Oregon fans may be familiar with. He was a hot draft prospect a couple years back and got drafted, I believe, in the 3rd round by the Tennessee Titans, where he's at now. And, so that was one of the best seasons, probably the best season Liberty had ever had prior to this year. Also won 10 games back as an FCS member in 2008. So only the 3rd time winning 10 or more games, second as an FBS member. Getting ranked in the CFP top 25 for the first time ever as a program earlier this year, which kind of has allowed the program to get into the Fiesta Bowl as the highest ranked group of 5 conference champion, ranked number 23 there. Like I said, that 2020 season, Liberty ended number 17 in the final AP poll, knocked off Coastal Carolina in the Cure Bowl, which Coastal Carolina was ranked in the top 10 and undefeated previously. So yeah, it's been a great season, probably the best season the school's ever had. Going 13-0 and playing against Oregon, it's no question Oregon's the best team this Liberty football program has ever faced. Not just this season, obviously, but in the history of the program. I mean, Liberty's played several P5 teams, played, Wake Forest, Arkansas, last year, Virginia Tech as well, and Baylor, before, several P5s over the years, but nobody as talented, as good as Oregon. Obviously, like you said, no P5 team in a bowl game. So it's definitely, probably the most anticipated game for Liberty fans. And it's a big thing, but I think Liberty also looks at it as, we don't want to say this is, like our Super Bowl or anything, because, we say, yeah, it's our first time here. But, we think with the resources that the program has, with the coaching staff that's in place and the roster that Coach Chadwell and Coach Freeze previously have built, that, it's a chance for Liberty to be one of the top one of the top group of 5 conference programs in the country. And that's kind of been our stated goal the last few years since joining Conference USA and at the group of 5 level. So we like, next year we're going to be, aiming to get into that expanded CFP playoff.
Love to hear it, man. First year coach Jamie Chadwell, been a big piece of that. Went undefeated in his very first season there this year. What are some key factors that led Coach Cadwell to flip this program from 8-5 last year to now 13-0? What are some things that he really changed in this program in just year one?
Sure. Well, I'll start by saying last year the team was 8-1, going into November, and had beaten Arkansas, beat BYU 42-14, which was really a big monumental win for the program. I talked about, the dream of what, Jerry Falwell Sr. had and for what Liberty would be. And so that was a big win. And the only loss was to Wake Forest, and it was a failed 2-point conversion in the last play. Well, not the last play of the game, but within the last minute of the game that, was the only thing standing between Liberty and being undefeated at that point in time last year. So, and then, after that win over Arkansas, the rumors really ramped up with Hugh Freeze and Auburn and other jobs. And you could say probably, I mean, it's hard to not look at that season last year and to not think something went awry there the last, month of the year, losing 4 straight to finish out the year at 8-5 after that strong start, 8-1. But yeah, Coach Chadwell, I mean, he's one of the best group of 5 coaches that there's been in the last, handful of seasons. He's got the 3rd most wins as a head coach during that time, going back to 2020, only trailing Nick Saban at Alabama and Georgia's head coach Kirby Smart. He's only got 6 losses over that time period from 5 years, and so he had a very successful program at Coastal Carolina before coming over to Liberty, and Liberty had 50% roster turnover from the 2022 season to 2023. So there's a lot of question marks going into the year as far as who would this team be, and nobody thought, myself included, nobody thought that a 13-0 season, an undefeated season, was in the cards. The Vegas win total was at 8.5 in the preseason. So, Liberty, most Liberty fans were thinking 8, 9, 10 wins, somewhere in there. But Coach Chadwell, this team, went through a lot in the offseason. An offensive lineman died during training camp, Taj Boyd, a true freshman. And it really kind of galvanized the team. They rallied around it and kind of, bought into each other, bought into the program, bought into the coaching staff and the culture he was preaching, Coach Chadwell. And, obviously it wasn't it's a perfect season in the win-loss record, but it wasn't a perfect season. Each game was not perfect. Obviously the team had a lot of, quarters struggled in or had a lot of turnovers or penalties or whatever the case may be. But most of the key pieces have stayed relatively healthy. Caden Salter, the quarterback, who I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit, was he was unknown coming in. There's a quarterback competition into training camp, and Salter won that job. He's a transfer from Tennessee. He was a former 4-star recruit, and he's every bit of any accolade that comes Caden Salter's way, he's deserving of. I mean, he's a true dual threat guy. He's rushed for over 1,000 yards. He's thrown for nearly 3,000. He's set all sort of Liberty quarterback records for this season. And, I think the biggest thing was just this team buying into which Coach Chadwell was preaching to them, and them playing for, you ask them and they say they play for the guy next to them, and they don't worry too much about the opponent they're playing. They're just out there doing the best they can to be the best version of themselves each and every week.
Love to hear it, man. Yeah, it's been a very special season, and I'm happy that we get to play a team like Liberty. We've never played each other before. I love this landscape of college football, the bowl season. I know it's changing where if you don't make the playoff, the season's over. It's kind of how it's been around Oregon. But look, I always try to remind people, look, when you get new matchups like this against Liberty, a team like Liberty, where they have everything to play for, and this is a great Fiesta Bowl matchup. I love it. And look, it wasn't exactly fireworks on Selection Day when we're thinking maybe Ohio State, Missouri, certain other opponents. But look, I always try to remind Duck fans, man, this is a great opportunity to show what you got. And I always try to tell them too, think about reality. If you're upset about getting Liberty as an opponent, think if Liberty beats us. You don't want that to happen. If you're this upset that we drew an opponent, man, we got a football game to play. We can't be hanging our heads about who we're going to play. Come on, let's go play a game. So My question is, for the Liberty fan base, what was kind of the vibe around getting Oregon as an opponent? Are they excited about it? Are a lot of fans on your side thinking that you guys can actually take this one despite being 17-point underdogs? And what's kind of the vibe going into the festival for the Liberty fan base?
Sure. I think, going into that selection Sunday for Liberty for ourselves is we were on pins and needles. Like, was Liberty going to be that top G5 ranked team? We need a lot of things to go our way, and they really did. Everything fell perfectly. New Mexico State, the team we beat in the Conference USA championship game, which was, we beat them twice during the year. Obviously, they had beaten Auburn just a couple weeks prior. So that win over an SEC opponent kind of helped strengthen our schedule a little bit, if you want to say that. I know obviously we don't have the strongest strength of schedule, right? But that's been well documented and talked about. But that kind of helped us a little bit, and I think in the committee's eyes. And then Tulane was ranked ahead of us. We needed them to lose. They lost to SMU in the AAC championship game. So Liberty's game was Friday night, the same night Oregon and Washington played. And then Saturday night, we watched the AAC championship game, hoping for SMU to win. But then we were still concerned, would SMU jump us? And then Sunday morning, the AP poll comes out, the coaches poll comes out, and SMU had jumped ahead of Liberty in both of those polls. So you're sitting here thinking, is this foreshadowing what the committee's going to do? And, because obviously it was either that or Liberty probably be back in like a Cure Bowl type G5 bowl game, which would be certainly, it's something you'd get up for, you'd be excited for, but it's obviously not on the same level as a Fiesta Bowl, as a New Year's Six Bowl. So we were kind of on pins and needles waiting to see. And then, to be honest with you, when it popped up there and it was the last, obviously you probably remember it was the last New Year's Six bowl game to be announced, and we're sitting there thinking, oh man, is this going to be it? And when it popped up there, it was a lot of fun, a lot of jubilation on Liberty side, seeing your name up there, and to be honest with you, it didn't matter who was on the other side, who we were facing in that first moment. It was just like, you're just so excited that the team gets to experience this, the alumni, the fans, the students, the coaches, the admin, et cetera, former players. I've talked to a lot of former players over the past few weeks, and it's meant a lot to them being able to see their program, their alma mater, make it to this level. So the initial, to answer your question, the initial response was like, it doesn't matter who we're playing. But then as you kind of settle in and get into it, it's like, this is scary. Like, Oregon's obviously, but anybody you play in a New Year's Six bowl game is going to be really good, right? And so as you look at it a little bit more, it's like, it's going to be a tough matchup. It's going to take a close to perfect game for Liberty to pull off the upset. But at the same time, we, myself included, like, we don't know how good Liberty is. They haven't been tested against obviously a team like Oregon, but even a team, in the Pac-12, or a team, even at the ACC, Power 5, SEC level, whatever conference, hasn't been tested at that level this year. Last year the Flames were, and they knocked off an SEC team. They knocked off, a BYU and a team that moved up to the Big 12 this year. So a lot of us, and myself included, I'm really interested to see how this program matches up against a team the caliber of Oregon. I'm not going to sit here and say Liberty is a 17-point underdog, right? So, we're not expected to win, but I do think that this team can have a good showing. I think this offense will be able to move the ball. I think they'll be able to score some points, top 5 scoring offense in the country. Of course, it's not against the same level of competition Oregon went up against, and also has a top 5 scoring offense in the country too. So I understand that, but I'm still trying, it's interesting to see, just how good is this Liberty team, and how do they stack up against a team the caliber of Oregon.
100%. Both these teams are averaging 40 points per game, 500 yards of offense. Let's talk about the Liberty offense, which has been absolutely spectacular for you guys. The number 1 rushing attack in the country, averaging more than 300 yards a game on the ground. Let's just start by talking about the style of offense you guys kind of run. What do co-offensive coordinators Willie Horn and Newland Isaac do to make this offense run so dangerously?
Yeah, so it's an offense that was originally designed by Coach Chadwell, the head coach, and back from I mean he started in Division II as a head coach and worked his way up through the FCS and now to FBS and Willie Corn was a quarterback at Clemson originally is where he began, and then he transferred to North Greenville after an injury and finished his career there where Coach Chadwell was the head coach, and they kind of him and Newland Isaac, the running backs coach, they kind of all met up back then and kind of been with each other all along, and they kind of it's based in a triple option style of offense, but it's not like an Army triple option. It's not an Air Force triple option. It's more of a spread option look. It's kind of, their offensive system and scheme has kind of developed and evolved over the years, over the decades that they've been coaching it. But it is based out of that triple option look. Mainly you'll see the quarterback Salter mainly out of the shotgun, but there's a lot of motions, there's a lot of shifts. There's, some pitches, pitch reads in some of that. There's some RPOs in it, but Salter's also a guy that can drop back and pass the ball too. So he's not your typical, what you would think about your triple option quarterback who's scared to throw. That's certainly not the case. I'm talking about a guy that like I said, threw for almost 3,000 yards so far this season. So, but it's kind of based out of those tendencies of a triple option, but also some spread option tendency, some RPO spread option, spread offense tendency as well.
Definitely an offense that's going to be unique and one that the Ducks are going to have to defend well because I don't see a lot of it. Quarterback Caden Slater has been is it Salter or Slater? Sorry.
It's Salter.
Okay, Caden Salter has, he's been absolutely phenomenal for the Flames. He was a former Tennessee transfer, 3,814 total yards, 43 total touchdowns this season. 1,064 of those yards and along with 12 touchdowns are rushing numbers, elite rusher. Talk about his game a little bit. What makes him a star player for you guys?
Sure. I mean, like I was kind of talking about earlier, it's his first year as a full-time starter. And he was a redshirt freshman last year, was a third string quarterback coming into the year. There's some injuries there that he got thrown into action in the season opener. And then he got injured and missed a good chunk of the season. But like I mentioned, it was a quarterback battle coming into the season. He won that competition in training camp and he's gotten so much better as the years gone on. He's gotten a lot more confident in himself and in his offense, just, learning it. Obviously, it was his first year in the offense as well. So, he's got a lot better. Early in the season, it was kind of, run, maybe pass, but now as the years gone on, it's a lot more passing involved in the offense. He's a lot more comfortable in the pocket. He's a lot more comfortable going through his reads. He's also, he is very dynamic athlete. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say he's a Lamar Jackson caliber athlete, but he's in the mold of a Lamar Jackson. He can make the throws, can make, the plays down the field with his arm, but he's also going to be able to make some plays with his legs and get out of the pocket and make some guys miss and pick up a lot of yards. You mentioned he has over 1,000 rushing yards on the season. There weren't a ton of runs that were designed, quarterback runs. A lot of those were just what he had just kind of the defense gave to him. Maybe the pocket broke down. He had to escape and pick up a first down with his legs, and he was able to do that. I mean, there were some, quarterback draws and some of the, option read pitches that instead of pitching it, he would keep it and pull it and run for it. But, very dynamic athlete, dual threat quarterback. He's, just as capable as a passer as he is a runner.
Yeah, man, he's been special. Caden Salter will be paired up with his elite junior running back Quentin Cooley, who's rushed for 1,322 yards with 16 touchdowns on the season. Liberty has rushed for 441 yards and 393 yards, respectively, in their last two games. It's been tough to stop these guys on the ground. Break down how dangerous Cooley is in the backfield and, some other guys maybe that we'll be seeing throughout the game.
Sure. Cooley is, he's a Wake Forest transfer. He's obviously the leading rusher on the team. He was offense or a newcomer of the year in the Conference USA this year, and rushed for over 1,000 yards. We refer to him as like a bowling ball type of running back. He's between the tackle guy. He's hard to bring down with just one guy. A lot of times will bounce off of tackles. He's always falling forward when he's making runs. So something that looks like it'd be stuff for no gain. He's falling forward a lot of times for 2 and 3 yards, and he's able to pop one and get out in the space too. But that's not really his strength. It's not his speed. It's his ability to find the holes in between the tackles and fall forward and keep this offense moving. And there's other running backs you'll see on New Year's Day in the Fiesta Bowl as well. Billy Lucas is another one, number 0. He's a little bit more of he'll run between the tackles, but he's also got a little bit more speed than Cooley. He can get outside the tackles as well. Vaughn Blue's another guy. He's a true freshman that has only played in 4 games so far this year. He played the first 3 games of the year, and then he had an injury, broken collarbone, and missed a good chunk of the year, and he just came back at the end of the year. And expect to see his role increase some in the Fiesta Bowl, I would imagine. But he's a guy that can get out on the edge and can be the receiver of that pitch and the option. Can also make plays out of the backfield in the passing game. So those are kind of the top 3. Aaron Bedgood's another name I mentioned. He originally started the season as a slot receiver, but when Von Blue got injured, he kind of went into Von Blue's role in the backfield and has been very productive for us. He's also our kick returner. So those are some, the main names, primary names you'll hear from in the Fiesta Bowl out of the backfield.
And in order to run that ball effectively, as you guys do, you got to have those monsters up front. Who are some key offensive linemen that get the job done for Liberty?
Yeah, sure. So the offensive line, it's mainly 5 guys, that have played, 90+% of the snaps.
Oh, wow.
If you don't talk about the garbage time. So Jordan White's a West Virginia transfer. He's, starting center. Xavier Gadlin's a Tulsa transfer. He's starting right guard. Xavier Gray, 6'8" guy, right tackle. Jonathan Graham, left guard. He's kind of him. The left side of the line is kind of were developed and recruited by at a high school at Liberty and kind of developed by the coaching staff there. But Jonathan Graham's left guard, Chase Mitchell left tackle. You also see Jack Tucker, who's a kind of a depth piece. He'll rotate in there some at tackle a little bit. Texas Tech transfer. But it's really been a really solid offensive line. That was kind of a weakness for the team in previous seasons, but this year under new offensive line coach Bill Durkin, they've kind of really taken a huge step forward. They're really probably the strength of the offense, and I kind of joke saying that the offensive line, if you don't talk about them and don't really know their names, that means they're doing a good job. Because you don't want to talk about them, but you don't lead the nation in rushing without having a strong offensive line. And Liberty's also number 2 in fewest sacks allowed in the country, number 2 to Oregon. So it'll be interesting to see that. But they've been very solid for the team all season.
Yeah, Oregon, Oregon's offense is, it's going to be fun to see these offenses go against each other. Liberty's offense sounds very unique, something that Oregon probably hasn't seen a lot of. So it's going to be interesting how they defend that. I think their front seven is going to definitely have to be active and ready for this game, something that's been a strength for this Duck team all year up to the Pac-12 championship game. Something the Huskies were able to do is really run the football on Oregon, and that has not been done against Oregon all year. So it's going to be interesting to see a team that really relies on the run, such as Liberty, how the Ducks handle that challenge, because we all know in the Pac-12 championship, they did allow Dylan Johnson to really run that football down their throat. For looking at the Oregon's offensive side of things, just kind of break them down real quick. We're led by offensive coordinator Will Stein, and he has been absolutely phenomenal. Kenny Dillingham opened up this offense about a year ago, made it more of a pro-style offense, more of a passing offense. Will Stein comes in, keeps the same type of pro-style offense, but adds more of a run game, more of a physical run game into it. So we're a more balanced team, which makes it very difficult for teams to guard against when you're a very balanced team. Run, pass, you can do both effectively. And, everything's ran through Bo Nix. I mean, Bo Nix was a Heisman finalist this year, 4,000 plus passing yards, 40 touchdowns on the year. It's been absolutely phenomenal from what he's been at Auburn to Oregon, and everything runs through him. He's going to be coming back this game, so he will be our starter. Behind him, we have Austin Novastad, young freshman kid. We used to have a guy named Ty Thompson, but he hit the transfer portal. So we're looking at Austin Novastad if Bo Nix was to go down, or if we want to put some young guys in, if the game says so. Bucky Irving will be going to the draft after the game, but this is another player returning for this game to play one last game. excellent running back in the backfield. Jordan James, Jada Lamar, Dante Dowdell are players behind him. Jordan James is the 1-2 punch to Bucky Irving, and then the younger players are Jaden Lamar and Dante Dowdell are freshmen this year that are very, very special, but I don't think you'll see a lot of them unless, like I said, the game gets maybe out of balance or anything like that. On the offensive line, there's been some changes. There's Jackson Powers Johnson is out for this game, so he will not be playing. He's phenomenal center, Remington Trophy Award winner. At the left tackle, you got Josh Connerly. Left guard, you got Marcus Harper. Center, I would expect Iapani Laulu to take over for Jackson Powers Johnson there. Laulu has been absolutely phenomenal in practice, according to past practice reports. And when he's gotten into the games, he has not allowed anything. So I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm sure he will be the starter next season. So this is a great opportunity for Iapani to really step up and solidify that role going into next season. If anything happens to him, backup Charlie Pickard, who's a 3-star sophomore from Jesuit High School, a local guy out of Eugene, Oregon, will be the backup there. Right guard Stephen Jones will be gone after this game. This is his one last ride as well. I'd expect Nashad Struther to be that backup role and to pick up that starting guard role in 2024. It's going to be interesting to see how they rotate these offensive linemen as they did really all season, because we know this being the last game, and to see what guys we want to have on that O-line next year. It's going to be interesting how they rotate these guys and how much snaps these guys get. And at right tackle, you got Johnny Cornelius, who could still possibly declare for the NFL draft. Going to be interesting to watch his decision, but I have a good feeling that he might be coming back. Going to be fun to watch that offensive line. That's one of the main things I'm watching as a Duck fan, because especially at Iapani Laulu at center. This is an offensive line that is number 1 in sacks allowed at 5 opponent sacks allowed, and as John mentioned, Liberty is right there with Oregon at number 2 in the country at opponent sacks allowed with 9 opponent sacks allowed. So 2 of the best offensive lines in the country, 2 of the best offenses period in the country. 40 points per game, 500 yards per game. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. On the outside, you're looking at Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, Gary Bryant Jr. Then behind them, I'm really interested to see guys like Jerion Dickey, a 5-star wide receiver, the highest player rated in our 2023 class coming in last year. Didn't really get a lot of play time, dealt with some injuries this season, as well as coming in the summer. Didn't really do the spring regiment, so kind of tough for him to get on the field this year. After going through this whole year, after playing behind guys, working through the injury, now that he's healthy, I would love to see Jerion Dickey get on the field. Guy like Kyler Casper, who stands 6'5", 4-star wide receiver coming in. Definitely different body shape than any other wide receiver on the field that I just announced. Standing really tall. He's a player that can go over the top, make those red zone catches. So going to be fun to watch both these offenses. Guys, real quick, this podcast is brought to you by Mojo Fantasy. What's up, guys? If you're watching this video, I assume you love watching sports, and I also assume you love making money just like everybody else in the world. So I'm here to tell you guys about Mojo Fantasy. It's a crazy new app that turns sportsbook odds and selections into fantasy contests. Guys, I have been killing it at Mojo Fantasy. Here's how it works, guys. There are thousands of NFL and MLB player props. You build a portfolio, and the better your portfolio performs, the more cash you win. Pick as many props as you want and try to beat the crowd. It's a whole new way to play fantasy, guys. The props act like stocks, so you can buy and sell live all game long. It's the only fantasy app, the only one that lets you make moves after the game starts, so you're not stuck with a bad pick. You can cash in on a hot start or just hang on and let them ride. Now, cash contests are based on real sportsbook odds. You can get the live same player prop selection odds and cash outs as Mojo's New Jersey Sportsbook. You can trade sports just like stocks, guys. You control the action. You can ride your picks, cash out, or enter new positions instantly. And guys, this is my favorite thing about Mojo Fantasy. There is no house advantage, no trying to go against the casino odds. You beat the crowd by building the biggest portfolio and climbing that leaderboard to win that sweet, sweet, hard-earned cash. And guys, if you know ball and you're going against a bunch of dummies, to be real with you, It's real easy, and that's it. That's all there is to it. You make picks, you make moves, and you make money. Download now on the Apple App Store and use my code DuckZone for a 100% deposit match up to $100 for your first time deposit. Link in the description for more. If you're watching on Instagram, the link is in the description on my profile. As always, guys, go Ducks. Enjoy the podcast. All right, I'm Dominiqk Peterson, host of the DuckZone503 Podcast. I'm with Jon Manson at aceofred.com if you guys want all things Liberty sports over there. Appreciate you coming on the podcast. Let's flip and talk about this Liberty defense. You know, who are some of the major players on that front seven that will be going after Bo Nix, because it's going to be a tough challenge, probably the toughest challenge for Liberty has seen all year going against this offense that Oregon has. I mean, Oregon could run the football. We just covered it. Pass the football. They're the most balanced team, in my opinion, in college football. Very tough to defend these guys. They get you going east-west. They get the ball out quick. And then when those safeties creep up, we have the opportunity to go over the top. What do you think specifically in that front seven that Liberty has to do to go after Bo Nix?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a huge challenge. You know, the biggest challenge Liberty's had all season, and this defense has been tested at times during the year, and has always come up and done enough, obviously, to help the team get a win, but obviously hasn't been tested to the level that it will be on New Year's Day. Tyron Dupree is kind of the leader of the defense at linebacker. He was Conference USA Defensive Player of the Year, leads the team in tackles, over 100 tackles on the season. He kind of mans the front seven, leads that front seven, team captain. Also on the defensive front, you got a rotation of about three interior defensive linemen, Jay Hardy, Chris Body. Those are a couple of main names you'll see there. On the ends, you got TJ Bush and CJ Bazile. They're both youngsters. Bush is a true freshman. Bazile's a true sophomore, and both, obviously with Bush, it's his first year on the field. Bazile played limited some last year as a freshman in a reserve role, but they've gotten a lot better as the season's gone on, been able to make a little bit more havoc in the backfield for opponents. But that's certainly not been a strength of Liberty's team is pressuring the opposing quarterback. So obviously going up against a really good offensive line, that'll be a big challenge for the Flames, trying to, make things as difficult as possible for Nix. I know he's had all day, pretty much all season to throw, and if he's able to do that, he can obviously pick apart defenses. But the linebackers, you also got, in addition to Tyron Dupree, you got Jerome Jolly and Joseph Carter, the next two. Jolly missed the Conference USA Championship game with a hamstring injury, but he should be back and pretty close to full speed for the Fiesta Bowls. So again, a big challenge. But Tyron Dupree is kind of the leader of that front seven.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like you guys got some guys that can make some noise. It's been tough to get to Bo Nix, but we'll see how this game goes out. I was looking at some statistics on your guys' defense, and it looks like Liberty ranks 110th on defending the pass. It's been a little bit of a struggle for that secondary. Now you're going against one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country in Bo Nix. Who are some guys in that defensive back room that you feel like need to step up individually? And how do you think as a whole, Liberty can slow down this Oregon passing attack?
Yes, again, a huge challenge. And, a lot of the numbers don't look pretty for the Liberty defense and the Liberty secondary. The one number that does look good is the takeaways, the turnovers, interceptions. The team is first, was going into bowl season. I don't know if they're still number one, but they were going into bowl season with the most interceptions of any team in the country. And so it's been a lot of bend but don't break type mentality for that defensive secondary, and try to come up with key plays and key interceptions and key moments, and they've been able to get that job done so far. Amarian Williams is one of the corners. He doesn't have a ton of stats, but that's because teams don't throw his way a lot. And then on the other side, you got Kobe Singleton at corner. I think he's got 4 or 5 interceptions on the season so far this year, second on the team. Brylan Green leads the team in interceptions from a safety spot, a sophomore who's made some All-American teams in the postseason. Quentin Reese is a leader of the safeties, an upperclassman, and a guy who's been around and played a lot of football for the Flames. And Preston Hodge is one guy that's had a really good season and been very successful, but he went to the portal after the Conference USA Championship game and has since committed to Colorado, so he won't be playing in the bowl game. And that's a big hole for Liberty in the backfield. You have to look for some other guys to step up, like a Corey Jones, who hasn't played a ton, but he's a sophomore and he has played some this year and been on the 2 deep. But obviously a big hole losing Preston Hodge there, but got a few names back there that Liberty has had most of the season, and again, that they give up a lot of yards, but they've been able to get the job done as needed to help the team win, and the key has really been they've been very opportunistic in getting turnovers in crucial moments. A lot of those have come in the end zone or in the red zone to stop what would have been scoring drives.
Love it. And we got Sulky Bradford in the building. This is a grandparent of Troy Franklin. Ducks got this. I know they can do it. They got Bucky, Bo Nix, my grandson, Troy 11. Won't be playing in the game, but Granny gonna still be there. Go Ducks. Love to hear it. Love to hear it, man. Supporting the Ducks. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. All right, let's get into our keys to the game. For me, this is what I got for the Ducks to get a win in the Fiesta Bowl. Number one, I got start fast. Look, when you're, this is easier said than done, but look, when you're a big time favorite, 17 points, and you're expected to win, I think coming out fast is a big key for the Ducks to choke out the confidence of Liberty, to get that start and to prove that you are the better team. Don't show any signs of confidence from the other side. That's kind of what Oregon did last time, or excuse me, 2 times ago. I remember last time in the COVID year, but I don't remember that much. We played Kansas State a few years ago in the Fiesta Bowl, and we came out. What did D'Anthony Thomas do? Take that thing 99 yards right out the gate and choked out the confidence to Kansas State, and Oregon ended up winning that game 34-17. I think doing that is a way, you don't got to come out and take the kickoff home, but starting out fast, going up 2 touchdowns in that first quarter, something like that around there would be big for Oregon. And then number 2, I got Bo Nix throw for 350 plus yards. Bo Nix has been phenomenal. He's almost thrown for 350 almost every game. And going against Liberty, who ranks 110th in the country and defending the pass, I think there's an opportunity there. You mentioned you guys are kind of down at corner as well through the transfer portal. So I think there's opportunity there here for Bo Nix in his final game as Oregon Duck to really put up some numbers. 350 is the line I like to put that at, 350 plus. We'll see if he gets there. And then number 3, Bucky Irving and Jordan James rush for a combined 150 plus yards. Now, between both of them, I think that, them rushing for 150 plus yards each or combined will help match that rushing attack that you're going to get from Liberty, because Liberty is going to be able to run that ball and try to control that clock. So you're going to have some kind of rushing attack to match with that. That's something that was lacking in that Pac-12 championship game for Oregon, is they did not really get a rushing attack to help Bo Nix. So I got start fast for Oregon, number 1. Number 2, Bo Nix throw for 350 plus yards. And then number 3, Bucky Irving and Jordan James rush for a combined 150 plus yards. Let's go to you, John. What are probably 3 things that Liberty needs to do to beat Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl?
Sure. I think number 1 is playing a clean game. I'm not going to say a perfect game, but a clean game, and that's most importantly, winning the turnover battle. I mean, Liberty can't, have 2 turnovers, let's say, and not force any. They have to win the turnover battle. They also, penalties have hurt them at times this season, and especially penalties at inopportune times that kind of end drives. You get a 3rd and 7 and you get a holding penalty that can just be a drive killer, or 3rd and 2 that with a holding, now it's 3rd and 12 and you can't get behind that offensive line and run the ball. Now you got to pass, and everybody knows you're going to pass. So really need to have a clean game, win the turnover battle, and keep those penalties to a low number, and the penalties that you do have, which you're going to get some, but them not be drive killers or drive sustainers for the Ducks. I think number two kind of goes into some what you're talking about, but Liberty's got to be able to move the ball on the ground. If Liberty can't move the ball on the ground, it'll just completely thwart this offense, and it's something Liberty's been able to do all season. Every game they've been able to hand the ball off to Cooley or Billy Lucas or one of those running backs, and they've been able to pick up 4 or 5, 6 yards a pop, and Salter's also obviously been able to run a lot. So Liberty's got to be able to move the ball on the ground. They got to be able to get some push up front, obviously going up against the toughest defensive front they've played all season, guys that'll be playing the NFL one day, and Liberty's got to be able to get some front, and that kind of pairs in with the other part of that is being able to have some ball control. Liberty doesn't want to get into a shootout with the Ducks. If it's first 1 to 50 wins, then that's not the type of game Liberty wants to play. I mean, Liberty's averaging over 40 points a game, but they don't want to get into a shootout with Oregon. They need to reduce the number of possessions in the game, and you can only do that if you're able to move the ball on the ground, pick up first downs, and keep the chains moving, stay ahead of the chains too. You can't have second and long, third and long. Gotta keep it in second and third and short. And so those are the first two things. I think the third thing is just get into the fourth quarter and still be within striking distance. If it kind of like if Oregon does get out to a 2-touchdown lead in the first quarter, that's going to be very difficult for Liberty. They haven't had to play from behind much at all this season, and if you take part of the rushing game away from them, then that makes them, against a team like Oregon, too one-sided, just looking to pass every time. So they've got to stay within striking distance. If they can keep it within one score, maybe a 10-point game going into the fourth quarter, then, the pressure kind of pushes over to the Oregon side. I don't think Oregon has any pressure going into the game. I mean, they're expected to win a lot, but if Liberty, goes in the fourth quarter with a lead or tied or down by one score, and Liberty can put that pressure on Oregon, then you never know what'll happen. You get a trick play or something, or a key turnover, then things can break Liberty's way. But obviously a big test, big showdown, but I think it's an opportunity this team is excited for.
100%. It's going to be an absolute great game on New Year's Day. Cannot wait for it. Let's get into it. Let's do our final score predictions for this game. Let's do it. So this is big time. Number 23 Liberty, 13-0. Everything to play for here. Basically their national championship to cap off one of the best seasons of all time, possibly the best season of all time, against number 8 Oregon, who, yes, they didn't get everything done they wanted to on their list, but this is a way to come out 4th time in Oregon football history with 11 plus wins to cap off a special season where you had Bo Nix, Troy Franklin, Bucky Irving. I mean, this is gonna go down in history. So we got to cap this thing off right. I think Liberty will give the Ducks some fits with their run game. I think they will be able to run it here and there and control the clock and slow down this game a little bit. But I just think pound for pound, athlete for athlete, I think Oregon just has too much talent. I think this will be the best team that Liberty has played. By far on both sides of the ball, offensively, defensively. I think it's going to be tough to handle for Liberty, especially on the defensive end. I think Oregon is more fit to handle the run game of Liberty's rather than Liberty's pass defense against Oregon's pass offense. That's basically what I think the game's going to come down to. I think Oregon's more in shape up front to handle that rushing attack. I think Liberty will be able to run the football and definitely control the clock at times in this game. But overall, I think Oregon is going to take over, and especially in that second half when that offensive line is rotating, those running backs keep rotating. Bucky Irving coming back, Bo Nix is a huge addition to this. If Bo Nix wasn't coming back, I'd probably have this game a lot closer than I do. But with the addition of Bo Nix at quarterback and that passing game that we'll have with Tez Johnson, Trayshawn Holden, Gary Bryant Jr., it's absolutely electric. Then you add the 2 backs, Jordan James and Bucky Irving behind that offensive line. It's going to be very difficult for that Liberty defense to handle, in my opinion. And I think the Ducks will be in a game at halftime. I definitely think it will be a 3, maybe 1-score game at halftime. I think Liberty can control the clock, make it a close game. But in that second half, I feel like the Ducks will be able to pull away and make this game Oregon 45, Liberty 21 in the end. I got the Ducks winning the Fiesta Bowl 45-21 and covering the spread. What's your final score prediction for this game? What do you got for this one?
Yeah, it's really difficult to try to project what's going to happen, particularly from Liberty's side. Is they haven't played anybody like Oregon, like we've talked about a good amount tonight, but they haven't played anybody at the level of Oregon on either side of the ball. So it's hard to translate. Hard to say what Liberty has done all season. How does that translate against a team like Oregon? It's really difficult. I do think and I know Oregon's going to be able to score. They've been able to score against everybody they've played this year. They'll be able to score against Liberty. Most teams Liberty's played this year has been able to score against them, so I don't think there'll be a ton of problems for Oregon on that side of the ball. Liberty, I think, I feel pretty confident they'll be able to score some points too. It's just a matter of will they score enough? I do think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be close in the first half. I think it's going to be close going into the fourth quarter. I expect Oregon to have, some margin and be able to, kind of have a comfortable lead in the fourth quarter. But ultimately, I've got, Oregon 38, Liberty 28, and what I think will be a good game, a well-played game by both teams, and one that'll keep us both engaged until the fourth quarter. And hopefully for Liberty's sake, they'll be able to get a break there or two in the fourth quarter and I can flip it the other way.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I definitely think, Liberty, their path to winning is, getting Bo Nix and Oregon off the field on 3 and outs, getting them off the field quick, and then taking that football and just keeping it with that run game, milking that clock and controlling the tempo of the game. Kind of the way Stanford beat Oregon, back in 2012, 2013, in those Chip Kelly days. Us Duck fans remember Stanford that get, against those electric offenses, De'Anthony Thomas, Marcus Mariota. What was their recipe to winning? They didn't have, per athlete, they didn't have the athletes that Oregon had, but what did they do? They controlled the tempo of the game. They had tough-nosed defenses that got Oregon off the field quickly, and they just ran that ball. And you had scores like in 2013, 17-14 final score, and Oregon was averaging 50 points a game. So I feel like if that's the way Liberty's going to win, that's the way they do it. An old Stanford way of doing things.
I agree with you, Dominic. I do think that's the way, what Liberty has to do is they have to, kind of like I was saying earlier, they have to limit the number of possessions that Oregon has. They have to get them off the field when they can and come up with turnovers here and there to keep them out of the end zone and turn maybe, when Oregon gets into the red zone, turn some of those touchdowns into field goals and obviously, be able to run the ball and keep that clock running. And if you do that, it can be a close game. It will be a close game going into the fourth quarter, and you never know what will happen then.
100%. It's going to be absolutely awesome to watch this game. Cannot wait for it. Liberty versus Oregon on January 1st. John, appreciate you for coming on the DuckZone503 podcast. Where can we find your work and, all about all things Liberty football?
Thanks so much, Dominic, for having me on. It's been a lot of fun to talk Liberty Flames and Oregon Ducks. Be a big game. Looking forward to. But yeah, we're at aseared.com. It's you can get all your coverage for Liberty football going into this game. We got anything you want to know about Liberty football. It's there. We also cover the other sports as well, basketball and the like as well too. So aseared.com. We're also on all the social media platforms as well. Same thing. ASEA Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all the good stuff. So be sure to stop by and check us out and get to know what we're talking about from Liberty's perspective going into this game.
Appreciate you, John. Hopefully, hope you have a good day, good rest of your night, and I'll message you on game day. I'll be like, hey, man, may the best man win.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dominic. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, appreciate you. You have a good night. All right. Thank you, John. All right, guys. So stick with me here. We got some other headlines to get to in Oregon football news. Former Oregon State kicker Atticus Sappington has committed to Oregon. This is a big pickup for the Ducks here. As Ducks needed a kicker. Camden Lewis was struggling towards the end of the season. We got Gage Hirich, a local West Lynn high school kid, freshman kid coming in who looks to be very special. We got a 6-star kicker coming in, and now we just grabbed a transfer portal kicker, Atticus Sappington. So 3 kickers in this room, 1 a freshman, or 2 are freshmen, but you don't want to rely on freshmen. No matter a 6-star kicker, 5-star kicker, these guys are absolutely elite. We got some elite kickers coming in, trust me. But they're still freshmen. To get a guy with college football experience is absolutely huge. I think that's absolutely amazing that, guys actually kicked in college games, has that pressure. And Sappington has hit 13 of 14 of his field goals while making 49 of 50 on extra point attempts, and will have 2 years of eligibility remaining. So getting the Oregon State kicker Atticus Sappington is a big pickup for special teams. Sappington officially visited Oregon the weekend before National Signing Day on December 20th. Check things out. We all know how, those visits can go for transfer portal recruits, for high school recruits. Once you get them on the Oregon campus and they see how beautiful it is, what kind of stuff they're plugged into, man, it's hard to say no to that. And Atticus Sappington is coming to Oregon. And that's not it, guys. Oregon is also emerging as a top option for Texas A&M transfer wide receiver Evan Stewart. Former 5-star and number 2 player in the portal is interested in the Ducks. According to Pete Nakos of On3, Oregon is one of the teams he's heard of as a real option for Stewart, along with USC, Ole Miss, Florida State, and Tennessee. Stewart had 38 receptions for 514 yards on 4 touchdowns in just 7 games for Texas A&M, which is phenomenal in that awful Jimbo Fisher offense. Let me tell you, there's a reason why he got canned. That offense did not do a thing. And he battled some injuries, man. He just did not play a lot for Texas A&M. That's one knock on him, is he is injury prone, but none the doubt this guy is talented as ever. This is definitely a plug and play guy at the X receiver. If Troy Franklin was deciding to leave, he is deciding to leave. He's going to the NFL draft. So getting Evan Stewart would be absolutely huge. This is the number 2 player in the portal. His teammate Walter Nolan went to Ole Miss, so it's going to be interesting to see if he follows him there. I would feel, in my case, on the outside looking in, I haven't talked to Evan Stewart, obviously, but if you're going to follow one of your best teammates to somewhere, to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is in his recruitment already, might be a place he wants to go. Tennessee is also a place in the South that he might want to go. Florida State just showed what they can do with transfer wide receivers. USC has always been a place for wide receivers to go. So these are schools that are going to be definitely tough to compete with to land Evan Stewart. But if we're able to get him on campus, we start hearing rumblings about a visit, that would be interesting. I would not expect Evan Stewart to announce anytime soon. This is a player that can go anywhere he wants. He has offers around the country. He can take as much time as he wants. So I would not expect Evan Stewart to commit anywhere soon. Nonetheless, the Ducks are in it for a former 5-star and the number 2 player in the portal, Evan Stewart. Former Oregon State kicker Atticus Sappington has committed to Oregon. We got ourselves a kicker. Appreciate everybody tuning in once again to the DuckZone503 Podcast. I'm your host, Dominiqk Peterson, where we talk all things Oregon football. Guys, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button down below. I give you guys weekly podcasts on all things Oregon football, recruit interviews with the players that Oregon is targeting. We're going to get these guys on here real soon, and we're giving you guys all the latest updates right to your phone at DuckZone503. If you're not following us on all our social media platforms, please do so as well. Rate the podcast 5 stars if you're listening on Spotify. We talk all things Big Ten ball as well as we enter as one of the newcomers into that great conference. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, guys, go Ducks. I will see you guys on the next episode for the recap and analysis episode for hopefully a big Duck win in the Fiesta Bowl. As always, guys, go Ducks. See you in the next one.